So what's up, healthy people? We are back for another episode of On Call with Dr. Randy. Today we have one of my best friends, Emery Kincade, 49ers fan, fifth member of Jodeci, Port Arthur, Texas native, number one Niners fan as well too. We also have his lovely wife, Emery's wife, Autumn, Xavier grad, mother of two, best mom in the world. What's good, y'all? Welcome to the podcast.
Going on?
Hey, Randy.
How you doing?
Doing well. So I'm glad to have y'all on this segment as we talk about I'm Too Young for This Ish, which is the name of the segment that I've been doing lately. So we brought Emery on to discuss his thyroid issues that he's had in the past. So you were diagnosed with hyperthyroidism, correct?
Correct.
All right. So what was some of the symptoms?
Oh, my bad. No, I was just saying I got diagnosed in 2020. Symptoms I had, man, was shaking, lost a lot of weight.
Rapidly.
Yeah, rapidly weight loss. Just, man, no energy. Heart rate was high, very high. And I couldn't pick up anything. I had no strength either.
All right. So how was that in the beginning? Because I remember when we used to talk sometimes that your energy level would be real low. So what were some of the normal tasks that you were doing throughout the day that was kind of getting you more tired than usual?
Man, just basically my simple tasks that I always go through, man, like go pick up the kids. When I start driving, man, it's like I couldn't hardly just, drive because it was hard for me to even get in a vehicle. And it was just hard for me to even push the pedals and turn wheels and everything. Then my son was a toddler then. So picking him up was a hard task. Like I didn't have the strength to even carry him. And I had to because I had to get the car seat and all this kind of stuff because he was kind of more like an infant. He was about like 6 months or something like that.
Closer to 1.
Yeah. Yeah, so he was still a baby, and man, it was just hard picking him up and trying to change his diaper. I had a hard time because had shortness of breath, couldn't hardly breathe, and everything like that. Man, it was just very difficult for me just to live my normal life. Excuse me. And that's when I knew something was wrong with me. I was like, this is not normal.
Yeah, I remember us talking sometimes, and you was talking about how you was bathing Cullen sometimes, and that you were just getting so tired when you would do that.
Yeah, and I was trying to help Autumn a lot because we both work, and like the days I'm off, I try to help her out more and everything with the kids, and while I'm trying to do that, and I was like, man, it's just difficult for me right now. I was trying to explain to her, and like at times she thought I was just being lazy and was trying to get out of it.
You can't pick the baby up. You can't bathe them. What? Like I thought he was making excuses to not have to do it.
Yeah, and I was like, man, something's wrong with me. Like something ain't right.
And then it happened in the middle of COVID. Like COVID came around, and then he left for work for like 6 weeks, and he came back, and he was like, my heart is racing. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of fast, but I didn't think anything of it. And then he just kept complaining about he couldn't walk, and he was tired from picking the baby up. And I was like, Emery has been gone for 6 weeks, and he don't want to come and help me. And it really dawned on me one day that he wasn't faking, because he went to lay down and take a nap because his resting heart rate like stayed in the 140s. And so he went and laid down, and I went to check on him, and he was like shaking like this. And I was like, oh no, let's get up.
I remember we were supposed to go for a walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, you was like, you ain't feeling so well. Let's go for a walk. Maybe that'll help you feel better, get you some vitamin D from the sun and everything like that. And I was like, so she was going to get something. And then like that's when I was like, I got to lay down right quick because I'm not feeling myself. So when she came back while I was in the bed, I had my Apple Watch on, and she saw my Apple Watch. The resting heart rate was over 100 something, and I was shaking. And that's when she was like, "Yeah, we got to go to urgent care. Something's wrong," and everything. And that's when we went to urgent care, and that was a whole nother story with that one too, because it was
a joke.
Yeah, it was a debacle.
So how long were those symptoms going on before y'all went to urgent care?
Man, I want to say probably about 2 to 3 weeks, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Because we thought the symptoms would subside. We thought he was just tired and we didn't think anything of it, honestly, in the beginning. And then when all the other symptoms started happening, and then when I saw him like uncontrollably shaking, I was like, okay, now it's time to do something. And then when we went to the urgent care, that kind of started my research because I wanted to figure out what was wrong with my husband. Like, am I going to lose him at an early age? Like, am I going to be a widow? Like, what's going to happen? So that's when I started doing the research on his symptoms.
So what happened when y'all went to the urgent care? He had done all this shaking, his heart rate was all the way up, and then y'all took him to the local urgent care. So let's talk about it. What was going on at that visit?
So when we got in there, lady was asking us a lot of questions and everything, and I was kind of at the point that I was kind of confused, and that bothered Autumn too. We forgot to mention that. I was like, my brain just wasn't working.
Yeah,
I was
he
real
wasn't
confused.
remembering basic things, and I'm like, Emery, what? Like, it was almost annoying at first because I was like, he can't carry a baby. He's forgetting like basic, like really basic things. His memory was like not there. His mood swings were like starting to get really bad. Like, he would be happy and then sad, and then he would look depressed, and then he would be angry, and then he would be happy, and then he would be normal. He was just all up and down. So me as his wife, I'm paying attention to all these symptoms. So I'm speaking to a lady at urgent care, and I'm like, he's doing this, and this. And it was hard for him to talk because his throat was so swollen. And so I was doing all the talking, and like the lady at urgent care kind of blew me off, and she wanted him to respond of how he was feeling, but like he was not really, he didn't even have the energy to tell you how he felt. It was that bad.
Yeah, so after all that, that's when they was like, well, we're gonna do some. Well, before they did the X-rays, they was like, COVID was brand new, so I wanted to do a COVID test, and I didn't know what I was about to embark on. This was my first time ever getting a COVID test, and this was her first time seeing a COVID test. So they came with the big old stick, looked like a probe, and shoved it up my nose, man, and
Randy, you can only imagine his reaction.
I couldn't help it. I was like, what are y'all doing? And then we got to get the other, both nostrils. So, yeah.
Okay.
The test came out negative, so I didn't have COVID. So that's when they wanted me to do a chest exam. So I did that, and it was like, well, we see a little fluid in your lungs. We think you have pneumonia. And and we both was like, what? And it was like, yeah, it's pneumonia. And Autumn was like, whatever. So we got in the car, and I was like, Autumn, I don't think this is pneumonia. And she was like, I know it's not pneumonia.
Yeah. And then we went and got the medicine that they said he needed, and he took the medicine, and it was like nothing happened.
Yeah.
And so he did have the shortness of breath or whatever. I guess that's why they thought he had pneumonia, but like it was not pneumonia. And so I started doing research because I was like, no. And when I did my research, the thyroid started popping up. It was like everywhere. So I reached out to you, Randy, and I was like, Emery is having these symptoms. Like, I don't know what it is. And that's when, like, we started talking about the thyroid. And that's when we first got an idea, like, it could be his thyroid that's off. And so that's when we made an appointment with a,
We didn't do that yet. We went to like a primary physician.
PCP.
So how did that make y'all feel when you left the urgent care and you felt like he didn't get the proper diagnosis? Autumn, you kind of mentioned that you got cut off when you were trying to explain his symptoms. What kind of feeling did y'all have walking out of there?
I was mad in there. I was mad. I got upset because I wanted answers to what was going on with my husband. Like I said, we're in our 30s, and I'm like, am I gonna lose him? So I needed answers, and I felt like they weren't really trying to hear us out. And obviously, the lady didn't know anything about us, but like, I mean, you know us. I talk for Emery. I know him better than he knows himself. He just don't know that. But she was not trying to hear me out. And it made me very frustrated because I want to answer him because I wanted him to feel better, number one. And number two, I didn't know how to support him because I didn't know what to do. It's like I knew all the symptoms, but I didn't know how to help him. Like, I literally had no answers, and I felt like I couldn't do anything. I was just watching him suffer.
And I knew for a fact it wasn't pneumonia.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
how did that kind of make you?
What's up?
So, like, how did that make you feel, Autumn, kind of as a spouse when you don't have any answers for something, and you're seeing your husband suffer through all of that?
I mean, I honestly, it was heartbreaking because you don't want to see your spouse suffer, just like you don't want to see your kids suffer, because, like, he's my best friend. I don't want to lose him. And so it was almost like, you know, watching your baby be helpless and you just standing there watching him. Not that he's my baby, but, you know, I love him that much to where I wanted answers. Like, I wanted to be able to help him because of sickness and health. And he was sick. He was really, really sick. And I guess we didn't know to what extent. And I felt like I had to be the one to help him. And that's when I was like, I want answers. And almost in that moment, I felt like, you know, like something will happen to a woman's child, and like the police officers can't find them or wherever it is, and the mom goes and finds all the answers. That's how I felt in that moment. Like, no, I need answers so I can help him, or we can work through this together, so I can be his support. Because he was almost helpless at that point. Like, he couldn't barely walk, talk, eat, nothing.
Did y'all feel like race played a part into that original assessment that you had at the urgent care, like not getting the proper diagnosis, or it was just the healthcare system and it's urgent care, they're trying to get people in and out?
Yeah, I don't think race played a part. I think what you said is accurate with, you know, urgent care in and out. Mm-hmm. I think COVID played a factor with trying to get us out because they had so many people coming in with sick of COVID. So I think they just had a mindset of like, hey, we got to get them in and out. And everything. Because, you know, I just think the healthcare system was just at an uproar at the time due to COVID and everything. So,
and I kind of didn't like where they just took one thing and ran. They didn't look at the whole case. Like, they just took an X-ray and they're like, oh, pneumonia. Like, but they weren't paying attention to him not being able to talk, the lack of energy, the racing heart rate. Like, if I can go and do research on Google and figure out that's the thyroid, you're a doctor. Like, you should be able to put all that together. You know what I mean? Because, Randy, when I talked to you and I told you all of his symptoms, you were like, I think something is wrong with his thyroid. You should get it checked. So that's exactly what it was. We just didn't know to what extent it was. Because when we actually went to a PCP, like we made an appointment, which was hard to get into because of COVID, we had to wait another few weeks. And then that's when we found out his levels were like way off. I mean, off the charts off.
Yeah, so what was that first visit like with you going to see the PCP? You had kind of been having all those symptoms for, seems like, some months, because by the time you seen them, it was like 3 weeks after the urgent care. So how were you feeling by the time you got to see the PCP, and what happened with that visit?
Yeah, I was in bad shape, and so when I visited him, and we did blood work and everything there, and that's when he had got the levels and saw that the levels was off the chart. So he was like, "Yeah, you definitely have hypothyroidism," and he was going to direct me to an endocrinologist to try to get that taken care of. And when we were talking about my condition, that's when I kind of stated that, like, hey, at your age, it's time to start, going to see your primary physician now, because it was like, if you would have been going to a doctor and getting, your annual checkups, we probably could have caught that early before you got all the symptoms and before it became real severe. So, I guess it's a testimony too for especially everybody around our age. Yeah, man, don't be scared, man, to go see a doctor, man. And yeah, it's really important because you can probably save your life.
Yeah, because at our age, we think like, oh, we're healthy, we don't have to go to a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
But like, since he got diagnosed, I've been going to the doctor every year, getting a physical every year just to make sure that, if something is wrong, we catch it early. Because like you said, if he would have been going and getting his levels checked, they probably would have caught the thyroid when it was kind of off in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And another thing I did appreciate when we actually went to, I'm not going to say a real doctor, but the PCP, he took the time to explain to us what hyperthyroidism was. Like, he wasn't a specialist, but he knew enough about it to like explain it to us. And then at that point, Emery was having like severe mood swings. To me, that was the hardest as a spouse to go through, to support through, because he would take it out on me because it was like nobody else to really take it on when he would get upset or if he felt normal, and things would just pop out of the blue. And I'm like, why are you upset? Like, we were just sitting watching TV. Like, why are you so upset from nothing? And it was the point, it kind of made me start having depression a little bit, because he was going through a depression, because with thyroidism, it's directly linked to the brain, and it caused him to have depression. And so when we were waiting to get to endocrinologist, he didn't have any medicine at all. He went and saw a psychiatrist, I think it was. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they prescribed him Lexapro for depression until we could get to endocrinologist, because he didn't have depression, but he had an onset of depression due to the hyperthyroidism. So to me, at that point, it was so far gone to a point I could deal with all of the physical things, like the shaking and the heart rate and all that. But what was hard to deal with was the mental part of it, which I learned so much about the thyroid going through it with Emery, because I know it affected your mood and pretty much everything in your body the way it does. And it was a really rough time in our marriage, just because I know he was doing it on purpose, but it was really hard to deal with. And he would take everything so personally when it wasn't that way, but that's the way he perceived it, because his thyroid, his levels are so off. And we went to a really, really rocky.
It say Emery Kincade devices not capable to record. No, I got
I
two
know.
of
Hold
y'all.
on. Let's try to close one of them. Oh, wait. Oh, okay. There we go. Yeah, it's raining real hard out here, so you already know. Yeah, but
Okay. So yeah, y'all, you sound better now.
But yeah, like that was just the hardest part to deal with because we didn't have any true answers. But what I did appreciate that the PCP did was he talked to both of us about kind of how to deal with it until he got to a specialist. Like he told Emery, like, yes, you will have mood swings. Like the mental is the hardest to deal with, but he said you have to kind of check yourself too and not use that as a crutch to say, I'm just going to go off on everybody. And then he told me, be patient with him because he's like pregnant times 3. You have hormonal changes, mood changes, and it was really hard to deal with.
So in the midst of all this, Emery, did you realize that you were more irritable or feeling depressed? Sometimes when we go through things, we may not realize it till after it's happened. Like, so did you know that you were having different kind of emotional
feelings?
Most
definitely, man. And it was to the point that I couldn't sleep, man, because my mind was just racing and all this kind of stuff. And man, it was tough. Like it came to the point, like Autumn said, the mental was tough for me more than the physical. Yeah, the physical was bad, but I was kind of used to it already. You know what I'm saying? But the mental was very tough for me. So yeah, I realized every bit of it because I myself was the one that wanted to go to a psychiatrist. I was like, man, my mind keep racing, Autumn. I can't sleep and everything. So I was like, man, maybe they can kind of help me with something until I I went to psychiatrist after the endocrinologist because I had to
Wait.
Yeah, because what happened, we kind of fast forward things. So when I finally got to the endocrinologist,
and it took weeks after this because of COVID, and they were only seeing like emergency cases.
Yeah. So when I went to the endocrinologist, they did more blood work, and they was like, okay, yeah, you have hypothyroidism, which is an overactive thyroid, better known as Graves' disease. And they gave me a lot of paperwork for me and Autumn to read and everything, and they prescribed me with some medicine to bring the levels down. And I took that for about a month. And after that, I went back in for the blood work, and then that's when they was like, we can't get these levels. We can't get your numbers leveled out. So they was like, we got 2 options. They were like, well, we want to go ahead and remove your thyroid because they was like, this medicine, it's kind of hard to treat. They was like, it's easier to treat hypo rather than hyper. And I had the hyper. And so they was like, we need to remove the thyroid. So they was like, it's either you do the surgery way or the
pill.
Radioactive pill. And I was like, well, I don't want to be cut on. So yeah, I like to do the pill. So with that, man, I had to wait like another month before the pill. So while I'm waiting on a month, they wanted me to get off the medicine, period. So, because they said that it'll be better if my levels go back way high. And
that was a struggle again. Like mine, we're at like month 3 of no change.
Yeah. So while doing that, that's when
right. So how long were you on the pills before you had to make that decision? And did they start you on any other pills, like to get your heart rate to come down?
No, they straight up started me off No. You're right. Yeah, my PCP started off with me some pills to try to regulate my heart rate. That was from my PCP. Yeah, he just gave. That's the only pills I was I was prescribed. Then when I went to the endocrinologist, that's when they gave me those pills to take to try to get my numbers level and everything. And that's when, because I remember I sent you my numbers when I first got it done, and you was like, "Damn, yeah, that's high as hell, Kincade."
Yeah, because I remember I think somebody originally gave you like the wrong diagnosis somewhere in between there. I remember them telling you like, they was telling you had Hashimoto syndrome, which is hypothyroidism, but all your symptoms that you was telling me was like, no, this is Graves' disease. I know I'm silly but I also smart and can know some stuff, and looking at these labs, I think they tell you the opposite thing.
Before we went to endocrinologist, and he was like, "Yep, that's Graves' disease."
Because the thing is, that was the first endocrinologist. Then after those levels was down, I couldn't get an appointment quick enough with the guy. So that's when we found another one. And now I've been going to this other endocrinologist for some years now, for a couple of years. But yeah, that was the first one that said Hashimoto. And then that's when you was like, man, that don't sound right. So when I couldn't get another appointment with him for a while, that's when I went to the other endocrinologist. And then I was telling him like, yeah, I gave him all my information from the old one. And that's when he was like, yeah, I'm looking at your levels and everything. Yeah, I agree. We do need to remove your thyroid and everything. And that's when they had me set up for, the radioactive pill. But we had to wait about another month. And, so my levels went back way up high. I started losing a lot of more weight. I lost like over 20-some pounds.
You lost 30 pounds in like 2 months.
Yeah, 30 pounds in 2 months. Yeah.
What?
Man, you already small on top of it. You ain't got that much to lose.
Like 130. Like, I mean, can a sister lose some weight? I don't want the Graves' disease, but I'll take the weight loss.
Yeah, I'm already slim,
Yeah, like everything. Randy, his sweatpants was baggy. How your sweatpants baggy? His wind pants was baggy.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, it was a struggle, man. And like we went out of town too, man.
Oh, he struggled. He struggled on that trip. He tried to put on his best face. Oh, and another thing, he started looking old. He has a baby face, but man, that Graves' disease put like a good 10 years on him. He looked like an old man.
My eyes was very baggy.
Yeah, he had really big bags under his eyes. But his throat was swollen. He couldn't even eat hardly.
The thing I was very afraid of was the bulging eyes. Because I was like, I was like, oh, if I get the bulging eyes, y'all go just kill me.
He said that. Kill me.
I remember during that time period, we would send you pictures of the Simpsons and stuff to make you feel better. Like, Kincade, you better not come back looking like Homer Kincade.
I was going to be like the soul child. I was going to wear shades every day, man. Yeah, I wouldn't go.
When you got on the Lexapro, do you feel like that improved your mood, or do you didn't see a difference at all in your mood?
Only difference I saw was I hope I don't. Well, I'm gonna just say it anyway. This is a podcast. Lexapro ruined my sex drive. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta get off of that.
Okay.
And like the lady told me, she was like, I'm gonna prescribe you this Lexapro. She was like, but it might, mess up your sex drive a little bit. And I was like, okay, man, well, making me feel better, man. And she wasn't lying. Yeah, my libido was just there.
Emma would rather be depressed than ruin his sex drive.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we ready to get into some grown activity, and I wasn't ready to perform. Like, I had no drive. I was like, it's not in me. you know. So I was like, nah, I can't do this. So I got out, I told the lady, I was like, I don't want to take this anymore. And then she was like, well, I can prescribe you something else. I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to just wait till I get better. I'm like, I need to treat my hypothyroidism or Graves' disease. Like, I'm not, you know, I just thug it out with my mental issue. So that's what I did.
Now you know that medicine was bad. He'd rather be sick.
Yeah.
Lose a sex drive.
Yeah. I'm too young for this. I'm too young for that. You know. I'm not doing it.
I would say he'd rather be depressed having sex than be feeling happier than his sex drive gone.
Like, you know, sex or what they call it, endorphins. What's that called? Like at least I get some kind of happiness.
Yeah.
With sex, like that'll help my, you know, my situation a little better, you know.
Mm-hmm. So y'all both kind of mentioned earlier about your cognition changing some. Like, what did you notice Emery and Autumn too can comment too about different cognition issues that you were having?
One day I sent him to go get the kids from daycare. Like, our kids went to the same home daycare for it was like year 4. And he called me. He was on the way to get the kids, and he was like, how did I get there again? I was like, Emery, what? We've been going to the same place for 4 years. And he couldn't remember how to get there. So I was like, okay, you turn on this street, you turn on that street. And this was like kind of early on. So I thought he was playing with me. And I didn't think it was funny because I'm like, look, I ain't got time for this. But he really started forgetting like stuff, like just daily stuff that we do all the time. And I'm like, Emery, what? Because, you know, Emery, he play like, you never know when he faking or he's serious. I'm like, Emery, and I didn't want to look stupid. So I'm like, Emery, stop. But no, it was like basic stuff. Like he couldn't remember. What was it? Was it something else he couldn't remember? It was a lot of stuff.
Yeah, cause I remember just one time you was like, said something and I'd be like, man, what you said? And you was like, that's when you like, man, something wrong with you. Like, you ain't playing. You very confused.
Yeah, he was.
Right,
like
cognition was off. So if I back then was to show you this shoe that's right there behind me, you couldn't have been able to tell me what shoe that was.
Nah, I probably could have, man.
Nah, you couldn't. What's that, a 1?
Yeah. Yeah, for my listeners who just listening on the podcast, I got some Jordan 1s in the background. I know that's Emery love him some J's, so I had to make sure I put some Jordans in the background on this. So y'all make sure to go watch this on YouTube. So by the time you went to go see the endocrinologist, they put you on the pills, and then you chose to do the radioiodine therapy instead of having surgery. Talk about how that treatment went, getting the radiation therapy.
So, man, when I got that pill, you know, man, it felt like it was some top secret stuff, man, how they was treating me. Like, it was like, you know, they had all a suit on and stuff. I'm like, man, what y'all about to put in me? And everything. And she was like, yeah, take this, then take this. Yeah,
is this at the doctor's office they doing
room and everything, like a room by myself. And then they came in with their suit on and stuff like that. And, you know, they gave me the pill I had to take and gave me another pill too. So after that, you know, they had me to sit down for a little bit. Then after that, they sent me home or whatever. And they kind of gave me a whole lot of paperwork to go over. And they kind of went over it with me saying that, like, hey, don't hold your children for, you know what I'm saying, a long period of time and everything, because I'm basically radioactive now. They said I can be at home, but they were just saying, like, don't be, like, with close to your relatives for...
it was like a week.
No. It was like, I think 2 or 3 days. but they were just saying don't be up under you guys or have contact with you guys for more than like 30 minutes or something because I'm radioactive for a couple of days. So I was like, okay, that's fine. But, Miss Lady over here, she didn't hear what I was saying, or she didn't read the paperwork.
I did read the paperwork, and I know what it said.
So basically, she was just saying,
I didn't want him holding the baby at all.
Yeah. So
I said, don't hold
no,
the kids.
She didn't want me to eat with them at all.
Nope.
So let me tell you, Randy, she go get my food and just put it at the door, like. And I'm like, for real? Then she was like, oh, some ketchup. She threw the ketchup in the room and closed the door. And that hurt my feelings.
Yeah, he was, that made me mad because I treated him like that. But I'm a rule follower. And so, like, I read the paper and it was like, don't hold your kids. Don't get close to people. So I was like, here.
But she didn't read it thoroughly.
I did.
No, because I can be around. I can eat at the table. It's just that touch and contact. I can't touch you for a long amount of time or whatever like that. So, you know what I mean? And they just told me not to sleep in the same bed as Autumn because I have contact with her for a long amount of time. But I can eat around them and be around them. Mm-hmm. But she thought I couldn't be around them at all. So she wanted me to stay in the room with the door closed and all kind of stuff and like have no kind of contact.
My bad. That was them fighting. They've been fighting all the time.
Yeah. It's okay. Shout out to my goddaughter, Emery. But I remember that when you was going through that and you had to kind of stay in the room for a couple of days and like that. How difficult was that for you being isolated by yourself in the midst of getting that radiation treatment?
Because, we got young children and, and Autumn had to kind of do everything by herself. And, so I felt bad because, like she said earlier, I was gone for 6 weeks with my job at one time. So I'm coming back and she got to deal with all this here with me coming back. So that was kind of tough for me, just being isolated just because I couldn't help out. I'm hearing the baby, whining or whatever, and I couldn't help, so that was kind of tough for me.
Yeah, and I was
I'm just trying to be a good father.
I would say, how long did it take from the beginning to the end, like from the symptoms until you got the pill? It was like a year.
Yeah.
It took a long time. Because I remember it was like the summertime. It was like June of 2021 before we had answers and he got the pill and all that. And we found out, like, he started having symptoms like in April of 2020. So it took that long.
No, it was after that. It probably had to be around May. Because, I was gone. I came back.
It was at like the
Emery's birthday.
Yeah, end of April, early May. But it took like a good year to basically find a solution. And then even after the pill, because like COVID, everybody was like, it has to be an emergency. It's 2 months until you can get an appointment. And then when he decided to do a pill, he had to wait another month to get off the medicine. And then we had to wait for the pill to work to actually get rid of his thyroid. But then when he got rid of his thyroid, it sent him into hypothyroidism. And then he started picking back up his weight. He got a little fine on me. But then the doctor was like, okay, you are officially in hypothyroidism, because he went back, did labs, and they're like, okay, you're in hypothyroidism. So now we're going to prescribe you medicine for that, which they told us originally is more treatable. It's easier to treat than hyper. So here we are today. He's still on that medicine. And now he goes to the doctor every,
like twice a year, every 6 months.
Mm-hmm. And he just recently went and they changed his,
my dosage.
Their dosage, because the dosage he had before, it was working, but it wasn't, like, his levels were still real off. So they just kind of increased his dosage. So here we are today. I would say, like, I noticed a big difference in his mood. Like, he's not as moody. Like I said, he's able to gain weight, and we've been dating almost 10 years, and he's never been this big before. Like, he was always, real skinny, but he was able to pick up weight, keep his weight. Like, he's back to his normal self, basically. Besides being crazy Emery, but he's back to his normal self.
So how long, Emery, do you feel like it took you to realize or feel like that you were back to your normal self? Or do you even feel like you're back to your normal self yet?
And I feel good. Like I said, like I'm able to gain some weight and everything, and I feel good. I think I look good. I say about a good year and a half before I actually start feeling myself again. Through all the trials and tribulations, man. Yeah, I say about a year and a half. But as of right now, I just take my medicine every day. That's going to keep me all right. So I'm on this medicine called levothyroxine. I hope I'm saying it right. And like Autumn said, yeah, they have it.
Okay, I see you over there speaking medical French over there. Levothyroxine.
Yes, man. So I'm taking it every day, once a day. Keeping me better, man. So I hopefully next time I take my blood work, hopefully everything is leveled. Cause I did feel like some changes. You know what I'm saying? Like I told Autumn, I was like, man, I'm not feeling myself. Before they increased the doses, I was telling her that I was like, I ain't feeling right. And that's when she was like, yeah, well, make sure you tell your doctor when you visit them, how you're not feeling yourself right now. And then, that's when we did the blood work. And because I have the My Chart app, so my endocrinologist, he sent everything, all my results through the My Chart app. And that's when I saw that, my levels are still quite off. I'm still in hypothyroidism. So that's when he said, let's increase your dosage. So your next refill, you will have your new medicine. And so, been taking it, I'm feeling better now. So hopefully when we do the blood work, hopefully everything is better,
Yeah, but it's just a change now because like he's pretty much on medicine for the rest of his life to level his thyroid. And then we were like, where did it come from? Because we were like, why is it just him? Like usually thyroid issues run in your family, but we started talking to his family. His grandmother actually had the radioactive pill too, so she had thyroid issues too. Grandma Dorothy.
Yeah. Of course, my mama didn't know nobody like that. My grandma had to tell me herself, and I was like, "Oh, yeah." I was like, "Okay, I got you." Yeah, because I spoke with my father, and he was like, "I don't know anybody who have it," and then that's when I talked to my mother. She didn't know either, but yeah, we was just randomly talking about it. I think my mother told my grandmother about it. My grandma was like, "Oh yeah, I have that same issue," and she take medicine every day also for
it. So with all of this, did it affect you with work at all, especially with you having cognition
it really
issues?
Didn't. I know when I first got the real bad symptoms, when Autumn took me to the urgent care, I had to take some days off. But it really didn't affect me much at work.
That's because he don't do nothing at work.
I use a lot of this at work, you know what I'm saying? And like, you know what I'm saying? I was okay at work, you know what I mean? Because like my job, I had a lot of time off too, but I did have to take some days off to try to get a little better with it. But, we spoke with my boss and my supervisor, and they kind of understood. So, they wanted me to get better. So they always were saying, man, if you have to take some days off, go ahead. And, they was very lenient on me with my condition. So, all is well.
Okay. All right. So looking back, is there anything that you wish you would have done differently?
Yes,
during
I
this
wish
whole
I
process?
went to the doctor more often. I just wasn't, thinking myself, I'm like, oh man, I'm healthy. You know what I'm saying? I only go to the doctor when I'm sick. But no, I need to go get checkups. You know what I'm saying? As a black male, we need to get checkups because I know us black men, we have that bad without getting checked up. Because like I said, man, some people's lives could have got saved. If they would have just go get checked up and everything. So, yeah, I say the only thing I say I would have done different is if I would have went to the doctors ahead of time, they would have saw those levels and everything, and they would have treated that before I got really bad, with the symptoms. So, yeah, I definitely regret, and I strongly advise every black male, just not just black male, just any male, go to the doctor, man. Just go get checked
Women
up.
too, because I mean, even though we may think we're young, but like that is how diseases creep up on you, and then it's too late. So if you do something about it young, like start going to the doctor every year, find a good PCP, get your levels checked every year. Because we go through a lot in life, like we become parents, or some of us lose our parents, and we go through a lot of things, and it affects health. And so I feel like anybody, like it doesn't matter your race, your age. I think that you need to start going to the doctor every single year, getting your physicals, getting your blood work, and doing something about it when it's a little issue before it becomes a big issue. Because honestly, that Graves' disease could have been the end of our marriage. Like it was that hard to deal with. But like he ain't gonna leave me. So
All right. So that's some good lasting words of wisdom from both of y'all as we kind of close out. And with every episode, I always do Randy's random questions. Are y'all ready for Randy's random questions?
Sure.
Okay. Hey, we go. Yes. Oh. We got some clapping music going on now. So, question number 1 for Randy's random questions.
Now,
who
Randy,
fell in love with who first?
No, do I have to dig up who?
What's he talking about, man?
I got you, Randy.
He said fell in love. He didn't say stalking.
No. Fell in love. Him. He told me he loved me first on the couch.
Yeah, I said it first, but you know what I mean? Like, he said fell in love. Okay, me. All right.
Mm-hmm. Dang. There you go. Thank you. Because I'll pull up the proof.
Okay, man, you about to pull up the proof? I mean, we here for the juiciness. You can pull up the proof.
I don't have that many pictures. Randy,
so while she's scrolling, Kincade, I'm gonna let you answer this next question for me. You ready, Kincade? All right. So, who would you? So, in this situation, you have 2 choices that you have to pick. You can be on the stage with Jodeci for the whole concert, singing with them, dancing with them. That's option number 1. Option number 2, you get to go have a conversation with Tupac. If he's still alive, if he's somewhere like on an island and sit down and talk to Tupac, you can spend a whole day with him. Which one of those would you choose out of those 2 options?
That's very tough, man.
You said sing with Jodeci or talk to Tupac?
Yeah.
I think.
I know. I thought hard and long about that one.
I think you would want to sing with Jodeci. I'm going to go with that one for you.
Man, and you said like after all Tupac still alive,
What?
like or
Yeah, like let's just say Tupac's alive right now and he's on an island somewhere. And so you get to go chill with him in Cuba or wherever he's in. If he's in Bali, you get to chill with Tupac for a whole day. He answers all your questions. Y'all can rap some songs together, but y'all not rapping them out in public. Y'all just in this bungalow
Tupac,
rapping together.
Because you know, from my knowledge, everybody we think he's passed away. So for me to like get that secret that like, man, Pac is alive and I get to hang out with him for a day, I'll take Tupac.
All right, so we got the whole Kincade family up there. We got Cullen, we got my goddaughter, Emery. All right, so I appreciate y'all sitting down and we taking time with me to talk about Graves' disease, and we got the whole family on there. We're gonna make sure they make it to YouTube. I'll see y'all next time.